Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 110. That's right. We are 10% of the way to our next big milestone. Mm-hmm. Goes fast, doesn't it?
It's frighteningly fast. I suppose it helps that after however many episodes we've went to doing one a week rather than one every 2 weeks. Yep. So accelerated evolution. There's a wee Devon nod for us.
I'm having a bit of a kind of a tweak moment inside me right now where I need to finish my spiel. So I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my good friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, bud?
Very well, thank you, handsome. Other than being super busy. And yourself?
Relieved that I got that out.
That was good. I could feel it burning in your stomach there. I am good, thank you. Just busy with work and personal circumstances, but things are actually pretty good otherwise. What about yourself?
Yeah, keeping busy. Smashed out the Glenfricka stuff, moving on to finish the Kiko stuff, which I keep putting on the back burner. That needs to get done, which is fun.
The good thing about the Kiko stuff is it's all about you getting it right. And as you were saying before, Kiko obviously saw the tabs and whatever and said, that's the right notes, but this is how I play it kind of thing. So it's going to be...
when it's all done, we'll sit down on Skype for a couple of hours and go through in like mega detail and make sure it's perfect.
But the point is it's going to be perfect, which is a cool fucking project for you because you are a perfectionist.
Yeah, it's very fun. But I'm not wanting to do that because the weather's good at the moment. So I'm wanting to be outside. As you've seen, walking to the studio, Melissa's taken a lot of time in the garden and we're starting to turn it into somewhere that you would want to spend time.
It's bonny. It's looking good.
I quite like doing that for some reason. I've turned into an old man gardener. But other than that, I'm trying to think anything else exciting going on. No, still waiting on guitars being delivered and all of that good stuff.
You are permanently waiting guitars being delivered though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
constantly guitars.
How many have you got on the way? 3
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fucking luckiest bastard I know, but same time you work for it, can't really get
Absolutely.
a hard time.
We will we'll talk about one of those very shortly. In fact, we're trying to work out a way to deal with the sponsorship side of things on the podcast. We don't want ad runs to be too long. I'm trying to get it down to 1:30 for the 2 ads, and we're trying not to talk too much about things before and after. But I'm going to start by saying I've ordered something from Rev. Not only do we have our G and D20s coming, but I thought, you know what would go wonderfully with a wee D20? A wee 1x12 cab.
Nice.
Tiny little, so I can have a little rig in my dining room next
Another
to the
V30?
piano. Yeah.
Oh man, that's going to sound tits.
Yeah, so
exciting times, man. Good on you.
That'll be cool.
Absolutely.
So definitely.
What Tolex are you getting?
I hadn't really put any thought into that. I imagine just black, just because the D20 is going to be just black.
Okay.
So I don't want to go too, and it's going to sit in my dining room, so I don't want it to look out of place,
Totally, I get you. I suppose that's going to be nice and not subtle, but it's going to be well placed in your dining room beside your piano and stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so
it's banging.
Yeah, that's me. Any other news? Oh yeah. Did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. These guys are awesome. We really do appreciate their love, kindness and support, and we appreciate it when you let them know that you appreciate their support of the podcast, because that's, I was going to say that's what keeps us going, but of course it isn't. We do the podcast because we enjoy doing the podcast. But before the podcast, we kind of talked today. We were like, the thing that the sponsorships has brought to the podcast is consistency. It means that we have to bring you an episode every single week now.
I don't even think it's that we have to. I think it's that we want to. because I like the idea of not only delivering on what we've agreed, but trying to do a bit more as well.
Yeah, but prior to that, there would be times like today where you and I don't think either of us really want to be sat recording podcasts right now because we're busy and we're tired.
And it's 21 degrees outside, and that never happens in fucking Scotland.
Exactly. But it's like, well, we need to get it done because we need to get the episode up tonight.
And what we're going to do without the Monday Night Guitar Geek Club, you know what I mean? We need to be here.
Yeah.
The people are asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you dig it? That's me being Cyrus there.
And of course, we need to do a bonus episode.
We do. Which
is available, or probably should be available by the time you're hearing this podcast, on buymeacoffee.com. So come and get a bonus episode and enjoy us playing. And I don't know if Mike has anything prepared for me, but I have something prepared for him. So
right, we'll do that then.
We can just do that. That
sounds great.
Fun. You want to see Mike learning some jazz, some Pat Martino licks, vocabulary, and teaching Mike a little bit about melodic minor?
I do.
Come and check it out on buymeacoffee.com. Right, so we do have a little bit of Ormsby news that we can just announce before we move on with the show.
Yes.
I keep teasing what it is that I'm getting from Ormsby because I've known about these for a long time, of course, because I get excited about stuff like this. Perry has finally teased publicly. We've been sent all of the colours, so I know what colours these are actually coming in, but we can't share those with you yet. But we can tell you that, Ormsby Guitars are launching. I'm 99.999% confident these are the only people in the world that have done this so far. It's multi-scales with Evertunes equipped, which is, really cool because I'm a big fan of multi-scale guitars, 7-string and 8-string more so than 6-string, not for ergonomic reasons, but because of what it introduces in terms of tension across your strings, allowing you to be able to tune down nice and low, whilst maintaining decent tension on your string without having to beef your string up to like a 74 on a 7-string, which is what I used to try and do, but then your string just doesn't sound right.
That's what I think. The thicker the string gets, the less you actually get tone from it, in my mind, unless you're like extending it over crazy lengths.
Exactly.
The basses are a bit different to guitars.
Yeah. So a big fan of those. But one of the comments that I've always made, one of the kind of criticisms I've levied at people that say, multi-scales are for ergonomics because your hand opens like this. And I'm like, have you ever tried to get up high on a multi-scale where the frets are fanning in the opposite direction? Your hand doesn't stretch that way. It just makes it harder to play higher up. The concept behind multi-scales has absolutely never been ergonomics. You might be pushed that in terms of marketing, and companies might have different ergonomic takes on it, as in where they put that straight fret. But the design ethos does not come from the ergonomic side of things. And one of the points that I would always make is we know that this is harder higher up, so why has nobody made the guitars with a straight fret at the bridge and then had everything fan slightly towards the neck? And that's exactly what's going on here. We saw Perry do this thing with the Rusty Cooley signature.
Correct. The RC1.
Which is a Floyd Rose equipped guitar with multi-scale, so straight at the bridge and then gradually fanning down towards the nut, and it's the same concept with the Evertune.
Yes,
on these guitars.
I think they are the same scale length as well. I believe it's 25.5 to 26.2 or 26.5 roughly. Might be longer for a 7-string. I'm so used to giving these figures when it comes to 6 strings because I played them for so long. Sure, but absolutely minted. I can't wait to see one in the flesh because I think the mock-ups always look good, and then you see the actual guitar and it's like, holy shit. Yeah,
and I'm a big believer and an evangelist, even if you like, of the Evertune bridge. I'm a massive fan of the Evertune bridge. And if you need to be sold on that, don't listen to me. Go and listen to Devin Townsend talk about an Evertune, because he really highlights what the Evertune is great at. And it's not just, you can have your guitar on the wall for 9 months, pick it up and know it's going to be perfectly in tune. It doesn't matter what string gauge you use. You can, if you have your guitars tuned down to, I don't know, drop C, but you like 9s, nobody's going to take a Les Paul and tune 9s down to drop C. And if you do, your strings are going to be slack as a motherfucker. They're going to sound out of tune when you're playing them. It doesn't feel, well, some people like the feel, but, it's not logical. It doesn't really work. Whereas with an Evertune, it doesn't really matter what string gauge you're going for. You can have 9s tuned down to drop C, and they'll have that slack feel when you play them. They'll also even have that slack sound, that kind of
twangy almost.
Yeah, like very percussive sound to them. But they'll be in tune, and it's just a magic experience.
I think the term they use for that like kind of shrill end of it's like fret sizzle.
Okay.
If you know what I mean, because it sounds almost like a metallic ring over the top.
Yeah.
That's what I've read it as. I don't know if that's the actual terminology. So, Perry, if you're listening, that means that Levi wants 7.5 gauge strings on his 7-string tuned to drop G. Just because.
It is worth pointing out that I do say this, but the Evertune itself, it's interesting how the design, the engineering of it works, because it's all mechanical. There is an acceptable level of tension that each saddle will take.
Tolerance.
So if the tension is too low, it won't function. If the tension is too high, it won't function. Now, to be fair, it's not a small window of tension.
No,
it's a
you
massive
can adjust
window
it.
of tension.
And
But
that's why you can also get it to the point where it bends.
yeah, but they do custom saddles for the bridge for people that are tuning out of those ranges.
What?
So you can replace those saddles with if you want an extremely low tension on the Evertune, but still want all of the Evertune functionality, if you like.
Benefits.
Yeah, they do that. So this is interesting for me because while I do kind of feel that Fan Frets and the Evertune bridge kind of seek to address similar concepts, there are slight differences between the two. And this is, it's really cool to see this being the first of its kind. Cannot wait to get my hands on one. So
I still haven't decided what I want.
Yeah. I should point out these aren't pre-orders. You can't.
No, they're not open yet.
Yeah, and they won't be open.
That's right. They're going to dealers, aren't they?
They'll go on their store and things like that. But the way these are working is Perry has ordered X amount of them. Mm-hmm. They're coming in, and then they will be available for purchase, rather than the Run 16s that everybody's getting involved in now, where you're pre-ordering it and then that guitar is being made and then you're going to get it in about a year. These are going to drop, and when they drop, grab them because they're going to be hot. They'll be in demand. So yeah, there's that. That's not really sponsorship stuff. That's really genuinely that's a cool guitar design thing, and I think more people should be talking about this. More people should be giving props to guys like Perry for doing unique things, trying to do new things, fresh things, and different takes on things. While I don't play them, I've always got all the love in the world for Ola Strandberg because he's always trying to do new things.
Yeah, can't argue with innovation. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I enjoy that and respect that. So, tell you what, how about a wee TTM update?
Yes, please. I only heard about this when I came in to sit down, and I was like, no way.
Yeah, I woke up to this at Andrew Catania sent me this at 6:45 this morning.
We love you, Andrew.
Yeah, I'll just read
all
it.
That shreds, believe?
Verbatim. Yes.
So
I read it verbatim. Mr. Benedict just got some bad news.
Wah, wah.
The bankruptcy court ruled that there was fraud in Chris McKenna's claim, and he can't include that in his bankruptcy.
I wish I could pick up the guitar and just do weep, 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 weep.
So for those in the know, allegedly, because we have to say allegedly, we're not lawyers and all that. Allegedly, I mean, it's not allegedly. These are facts.
We just don't have the
Lance
evidence in front of us.
Benedict took $100,000 an investment from Chris McKenna for TTM guitars. Mm-hmm. He never filed that Chris McKenna was a shareholder of significant relevance in the company, that had actual say in the company. Never did any of those things, and then dissolved the company. So essentially took the guy's money and didn't do any of the things that he was supposed to do. And then, of course, thanks to people like Andrew and myself and all of you guys who have been pushing this TTM scam out there as much as possible, his days were numbered, and the only way he could get away with all of the money that he had allegedly stolen from other people was to dissolve the company and say, well, company doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So he did that. But Chris McKenna is still suing him for that $100,000.
Quite right, and
And
probably
he's
other
not
damages on
suing
top.
TTM guitars.
He's suing
Lance Benedict.
Which is what they would have to do, because you can't sue a company that's been dissolved. You need to sue the
Or a
individual.
company that you didn't have an involvement with.
That too, aye?
He had a business deal with Lance Benedict.
Correct.
So in order to deal with this and many of the other creditors that Lance has been trying to evade, Lance filed for bankruptcy.
Obviously.
Yeah, because that would alleviate all of the responsibility, if you like. But Andrew Catania and other people, dogs with bones, if you like, made sure that when these bankruptcy hearings were going on, that all of this evidence was brought forward, that there's major fraud involved in this, and
there really is.
Granted bankruptcy, allegedly. I've listened to some of the calls, the bankruptcy calls, like Andrew phoning in to listen to the calls. Hilarious.
Oh, and calling Lance out,
yeah,
hasn't he?
Yeah. They're just like absolutely glorious. And it seems now the report is that the bankruptcy court have, while they will grant Lance's bankruptcy, they are taking certain things off these, so he can file for bankruptcy, but he cannot write off the legal cases that he has against him with Chris McKenna.
So there'll be certain creditors and debtors that won't get paid, but other ones will stand.
Yeah. So
I really hope that Chris gets his money back. I don't think Lance is going to go easy, but fingers crossed.
Yeah. And the way I see it is I don't think Chris will get his money back. But what I do want to make sure, or not make sure, what I'm looking forward to is the idea that Lance is extremely stressed out about this. I hope that this keeps him awake at night in the same way that his scams kept his victims awake at night. You know,
alleged victims, alleged scams.
Well, definitely victims, but alleged scams.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. I have also, I know a bunch of people that listen to this podcast have reached out and let me know this. I've not run with it as a story yet because not enough information is out, but I'm getting a lot of reports about Bolt guitars.
I heard really mixed things for the last few years, that it was supplies of really cheap guitars. People were picking them up as projects and really happy with them, but then there were other people who did not get anything, and it was pretty much a bye.
To me, from what I've been told, it feels very much like a Lance Benedict TTM type thing, where, you know, I'm sure it was Chris Bolt, maybe the surname, was taking orders on custom guitars, and I believe they were around £279, right?
It's because I think he was pretty transparent that these were just guitars that were being bought from AliExpress or whatever, but with his logo on them.
I'm not entirely sure about that side of things, but
just going by people I know that have bought a few of the guitars. A friend of mine, Jamie Keenan, actually, not the one for Wishaw, but another one. He had a couple of Bolt guitars, and I'm sure he said that they, for the money he paid, they were just like kind of knockabout guitars, but he was pretty happy with them.
Sure.
But he got his, so that's a different story, I suppose.
And really the problem with Bolt guitars is that lots and lots and lots of people didn't get their guitars, and lots of people that got their guitars didn't really get what they'd agreed to. Some people wanted me to cover this story.
Sounds like a Lance Benedict number, doesn't it? No, that's your free guitar.
Yeah, but the thing that was a struggle for me with this and covering this is because I so extensively covered the TTM thing, there comes a point where it's like, how many times do I have to make videos warning people about this type of stuff before the guitar buying public wakes the fuck up? If somebody's offering to sell you a custom guitar for £279 and you think that you're getting a better deal from somebody that has no history whatsoever of building guitars or doing anything in the guitar scene, if you're looking at this and going, oh, this is a great deal for me, then I've got some fucking magic beans to sell you. You know what I mean? I don't want to blame the victims in this, but also, come on, guys. Like,
there is a level of responsibility when, and not being hoodwinked, I suppose. But at the same time, I don't want to blame victims either.
Sure. Well, one of my...
If you're not sure, ask somebody. There's the gist of it. If you see something you think that's a great deal, I should go and just click buy it now, right now. Send us a message and we will have a quick vet for you. Yeah. Hopefully we can help.
When I was a kid, one of my favourite TV shows was Hustle, the BBC show Hustle, great show. And one of the first things that they explain on that is that you can't con an honest man. Yeah, the only person that can be conned is somebody that wants something for nothing. And the reason Lance Benedict managed to do everything that he did, the reason Chris Bolt managed to do everything he did, is not because people want something for nothing, but because people thought they were getting a deal. People thought they were getting something. And when you feel that like you're getting something much more than you should be getting for what you're paying, it's very easy to let go of, like, ignore all the warning signs because you think you're getting something. And Chris Bolt...
I suppose when you think about the term con man, it's confidence, man.
Exactly.
That's where it come from. The idea being that you're being... overly sold something.
Exactly. The reason we bring this up is Bolt Guitars has relaunched in the US as Bolt Guitars, Bolt Guitars Inc. or whatever.
BOULT, isn't it?
It's exactly the same name, same logo. And that's
with
what's
lightning bolt through it.
Yeah, this is bizarre, right? It's claimed that it has no affiliation with the original company, and the parties involved aren't the same people. If that's true or not is irrelevant.
Why would you keep the same logo then?
Well, because all the guitars are being manufactured in the Far East on the cheap, so there's probably a bunch of stock that exists, and you could buy that stock for even less money than initially.
You could buy TTMs directly off AliExpress for a while, and I mean logoed up with the built in USA handmade pish.
Yeah, and to be fair, I believe that's one of the issues that people are taking with Bolt guitars. They are pushing their guitars as USA built, and we know they're not USA built. So
plot twist, it's actually Lance behind it.
It is very interesting to see the owner of the US Bolt guitars like really sticking to his guns and saying, I don't care what you guys say, I have no affiliation with this company that ripped people off, but I'm not changing my company's name because I like the name and I like the logo.
But don't change the name, but definitely change the logo because it's not your IP unless you bought it, in which case you are affiliated with the original company.
That's an interesting...
That's fact. You can't use somebody else's IP and then claim that you don't know anything about them. Yeah. You didn't come up with the logo exactly the same just out of pure coincidence.
Yep.
You piece of shit.
There's that. Right, let's do a quick bit of fan mail.
Yes. Sorry, but we get sideswept as we usually do.
Yeah. So Tim Burrell sent us a quick bit of fan mail this week, and it was a quick question, a quick rookie question. I've just purchased my first power supply, and I would like to point out his first power supply is a Strymon. So
Strymon OG, which is a fucking belter. Good choice, mate.
Someone's got a lot of money.
No, I think that's just a good investment, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't even have a power supply, so.
Aye, because yours died. But it's the same as with computers. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't buy something that's a good part, especially the part that's going to provide power to all your pedals, you're not going to have a good experience.
Sure.
So if there's one thing you don't really cheap out on, says me that bought a Harley Benton one, power supply.
Yeah, so he just purchased his first power supply and was wondering if it is okay to leave it on for long periods of time after he's finished playing for the day, as it has no on or off switch. Is it designed to be left plugged in with LEDs powered up, or is it best to unplug it from the wall when finished playing? Thanks a bunch, Tim. The reason I want to answer this question is not because I know the answer, right? I'm not an electrics expert.
Yes.
But that is exactly what I did with my power supply. My power supply remained plugged in 24 hours a day because there was no off switch, and it was in that state for probably 8 years, and it didn't blow up until it blew up.
But that could be any number of factors, really, because it's been moved about quite a bit too.
Yeah.
So,
to be fair, it didn't blow up while plugged in. It blew up when I was fucking around with switches on it to see if there was something wrong with it. I put it into fucking.
So you actually blew it up.
I blew it up.
It was failing before, though, wasn't it? Because I think you had a few concerns about it.
Yeah, there was.
I think you had probably done output that wasn't working right, and in doing what you were doing, it's probably just made the fault worse.
Yeah,
but well, you give your answer.
I'll be surprised if we don't agree on this. Like, the way I look at it, Tim, is better safe than sorry. Like, it's not difficult. You don't even need to unplug it from the wall, right? Just turn off the switch at the wall.
Or even unplug the power into it.
Yeah, depending on how he's got it. I don't know if this actually has is that a power in thing?
That's
maybe?
a power in there.
Yeah.
It's like a barrel socket because it's 24 volt through.
Right, okay.
For feeding, I believe that's for feeding like AC.
Okay.
Pedals like my EHX.
Right, okay.
So you've got AC and DC.
Okay.
I believe, might be wrong, but it being a high-end power supply, that could well be the case.
You should absolutely be fine, Tim, but also think of it from the perspective of this is an extremely expensive pedal. Why not look after it by turning it off at the wall?
I don't think you would do any damage by leaving it on for a couple hours here and there, but don't be Levi and leave everyone plugged in forever. So, no, you're laughing. How many years did it take me to convince you to actually shut your computer down sometimes?
Well, but that wasn't because I didn't think my computer needed to be shut down. That's because I work extremely ridiculous hours. I would work until 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd have all my projects open that I'm working on, and then I'm like, right, I'm going to go to bed. Do I want to save everything and shut everything down when I'm going to be back at my computer in 5 hours' time?
And then you would just continue to do that and complain your computer was running slow.
No, I'd complain that I have the same problems that I have now, which is fucking random blue screens and a computer that just basically an abused machine, one that looks at the world and is like, "Why am I here?
Please, Mr. Levi, let me go.
Yeah,
please, I just want to play video games.
Exactly.
But you install Steam on me. You're too busy with the PlayStation."
I think I have Steam on here.
You probably do now, aye. So, Tim, to answer your question, it would be probably good habit to unplug it when you're not using it, just for your own peace of mind. But these items are usually designed, especially you buying quite a high-end one, the Strymon stuff is ridiculous. So I don't imagine you would cause any harm if you left it on for an hour or two. Just make sure you're not plugging stuff in the wrong place or doing it, plugging things in the wrong way or whatever, and you'll be all good, mate. You'll be all good.
We are going to start our news story today with something a little bit odd, a nostalgia trip, if you like.
Not really a good one, to be fair.
Not a good nostalgia trip. And actually, I skipped over some other notable deaths. Well, they weren't notable to me, which is why I didn't bring them up.
Okay. Those poor people.
I know, exactly. So, 32-year-old School of Rock drummer and actor hit and killed by 20-year-old driver while biking. So, I'm sure we all remember School of Rock.
You couldn't miss it.
Classic film.
Absolute belter.
Yeah, and the drummer's died, which is a shame. Would you like to read that?
Pretty fucking horrible. Kevin Clark, a Chicago-based musician who portrayed the drummer Freddie Spazzy McGee Jones in 2003's School of Rock. Definitely 2003. Nobody would be getting away with calling somebody Spazzy McGee these days. Not that I agree with it. Died May 26th, after he was struck by a driver while biking in Chicago. Kevin was 32 years old, a year older than me.
And the same age as me.
It's frightening, isn't it?
So now when I go back and watch School of Rock, which I do not semi-regularly, but you know...
You're going to think about not cycling in Chicago?
No, I'm going to be watching it and go,
Fuck.
I'm the same age as that... Well, I'm not the same age as that kid, but you know what I mean? Like, I was the same age as that kid when this film came out.
It's mental, isn't it? It's really mental. So Chicago Sun-Times reports that Clark was biking in the Avondale neighbourhood when he was struck by a Hyundai Sonata at 1:20 a.m. Paramedics arrived at the scene and took Clark to nearby Illinois Masonic Medical Centre, where he was pronounced dead at 2:04 a.m. The source adds a 20-year-old driver of the car was issued citations. Kevin embarked on his musical journey at the age of 3, did no acting experience when he was cast for School of Rock at the age of 12. School of Rock has remained Clark's lone acting credits, or I thought it was the tone, but he continued drumming in various bands around his native Chicago, including most recently Jess Bess and The Intentions. Rest in peace, Kevin. You definitely picked us up my high note there, mate. That's a shame. I might actually watch School of Rock at one point just as a wee...
It's on Amazon Prime right now. So.
Is it?
Yeah, why not? If you're a Prime user. I'm a Prime user now. I've cancelled my Netflix subscription and I'm just an Amazon Prime user.
Fair enough.
Netflix is twice the price as Amazon Prime. So
Amazon Prime's also got less shit on it and a lot you need to pay for, in my mind.
I mean...
Then again, you did pay extra money to watch the live-action Mulan.
Yep.
Regretted it?
You know, with Amazon Prime, I did, yeah. With Amazon Prime, you've just given the reason to use it, right? They do have a lot of films, a lot of content. I mean, I'm watching The Fighter right now. They do have a lot of originals that are great.
Mm-hmm.
But what you see as a negative, I see as a massive, massive positive, which is you have to buy a lot of shit on there.
Because you love giving your money away?
If there is something that I want to watch that's not on Netflix, I'll go. If there's something I want to watch and it's not on Amazon Prime, but they'll go, you can buy it for a £5, you can rent it for £2, I'm going to go, fantastic, got what I wanted. You know? So
it's not really half the price of Netflix then?
Well, only if I'm buying... But I was buying things on Amazon Prime when I was a Netflix member, so...
That's your problem, not anybody else's.
No, that's the economics of it, isn't it? Like,
I know, I'm just being daft. I just think if you're going to be paying for a subscription service, you should have access to most of the things, not just being... You can have some, but you have to pay extra for all of these other ones. I mean, but that's just business.
You'll levy that criticism at Netflix then, definitely.
I will. I'm going to email them right now. That's like you being like, I was on Spotify, I couldn't get those albums, so I'm going to pay extra to listen to that one. That's in my mind. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, but
pay extra for streaming services on top.
Spotify do advertise that, well, not specifically advertise, but the idea is you get everything. You're paying a lot and you get everything for it.
You do it with Netflix too?
And again, you pay a lot for that. Whereas Amazon Prime, you don't pay a lot for Amazon Prime. $7.99. And you have to remember the thing with Amazon Prime.
Netflix all the way up to fucking 16 quid?
Well, for the version I had was 4K streaming, yeah.
There's your problem.
It's 12 quid, I think, for the standard one, which is a lot. And Amazon
We've got
Prime,
the cheap one because Nancy's a fucking student.
Yeah. Amazon Prime, right? $7.99. But the focus of Amazon Prime isn't Prime Video. It's Prime Delivery. Like, I would pay $7.99 to have Prime Delivery.
See, when you put it that way, the fact that you get the subscription service as well as your stuff when you're using Amazon, fair enough. But I will not support Jeff Bezos any more than I need to.
Well, he's not involved with the company anymore, so step
he's
down.
going to be the world's the world's first trillionaire. You think he's not making money for something?
No, there's someone richer than him now.
Who?
He's now the second richest man.
Lance Benedict?
No, some fashion designer from...
Really?
Yeah, I saw this.
Really?
Saw this just recently. I commented on the news story, like... fantastic. Jeff Bezos is like, they posted it as a news story for some newspaper, and I was like, thanks very much for sharing this, guys. I'll sleep much easier at night tonight now. Thank you so much. This has really put my mind at rest.
What's probably better than that is they'll be like, "Nay bother, mate. What the fuck are you writing on a Facebook page for?"
Because that's who I am, okay, motherfuckers. That's why.
We're just pissing into a sea of piss, boys.
Exactly.
Right. Anyway, let's move on. Some good news.
Is this good news? It's an interesting one.
Yeah, okay, I'll let you summarise it because it seems as if you've got a stronger opinion than I.
Well, okay, so Download Pilot. Festivals, we all want live music to come back, obviously.
I'm booked on to play at fucking Bloodstock.
Yeah.
I hope it happens.
I don't see why it wouldn't. Melissa's booked for a festival up north.
Same weekend, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not far off, at least. Within a week or two of each other.
And of course, Download is the country's biggest rock festival, I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah. They are launching the Download Pilot scheme, which is a 10,000 person capacity pilot festival to help open live music between the 18th and 20th of June. Yeah, so I'll tell you what, why don't you read the text?
Downloaders, we could not be more hyped to announce that we will be running a pilot event as part of the second phase of the government's event research programme. It's going to be a 10,000 capacity camping festival in Donington Park. Everybody on site will have taken a lateral flow test before entry and received a negative result, and will have taken a PCR test too. That means you'll be able to mosh, dance, hug your fellow downloaders and rock out without a mask or social distancing. Frankly, we can't think of anything that sounds more awesome after 15 months away from our hallowed ground. Researchers from Public Health England will be overseeing the study. They'll be gathering data on transmission risk, the suspension of social distancing and face coverings over several consecutive days. This data will help to ensure that events later this summer can go ahead safely. There's certain criteria the science boards need you to fulfil for the research, being over 16 is one example. Anyone who wants to attend will need to read and agree to a consent document first to ensure they understand the research process and meet these criteria before they can buy a ticket. To say thank you for sticking with us through these tough times, Download 2022 ticket holders will be given first dibs for 48 hours on tickets for the pilot event.
So that's immediately going to sell out.
Oh, but that always happens. It sells out the weekend of it for the next year.
Yeah.
And rip like, we're doing the early bird tickets, they're 20 quid off, and everybody's just like, give me them. Not even knowing who's going to play.
Yeah.
But I've done that myself, to be fair, actually with Download Festivals, so I can't really slag MD. You'll need to take a lateral flow test at home, and it has to be negative for you to enter the event. If you test positive, don't worry, you'll be refunded. The researchers also need you to take a PCR test and drop it in a priority post box before you get to the event. All you need to show at the gate will be your ticket, matching ID, and your negative lateral flow test result. This will be shown as a text or email from the NHS. 5 days after the event, you'll be asked to take a second PCR test and send it back to the ERP. These post-festival tests are really vital to the research, and you must send yours back.
And if you don't?
I know. We've missed all our Download fam so much and can't wait to see you all again. This is going to be epic. Rock horns. For more details, blah, blah, blah.
I like the idea.
Could be good.
Paying to be a guinea pig.
It's not really been a guinea pig, is it? You're not getting made to take test chemicals or anything weird. They're literally just being, cool, so you've tested negative. Everybody's tested negative. You can go and do what you want. Yeah,
but then what if they really believe everybody's tested negative, so there's zero risk to anybody here?
No, it's not zero risk.
Well, that's the point.
Harm reduction.
Sure.
There's not zero risk because you can still transmit it from somewhere else.
Exactly. So removing all social distancing and not having to have masks or anything like that.
But the main transmission risk is person to person.
Yeah.
So if they remove the main risk, then that's part of the research to see if that can or will be transmitted elsewhere in other ways.
You are going to be at a higher risk at the Download Pilot Festival than by staying at home and social distancing. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that, right? But there are conditions, there are control conditions in place for the pilot.
Sure.
What I would say is, though, Bullet for My Valentine. You need to put on good bands if you want people to actually come and do this fucking test. Come on.
Yeah, so Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. No, I have no idea who this
Frank
is.
Carter's got a bit of a cult following, so that's quite cool. Neck Deep, I think we'd be alright to see. Sleep Talking are pretty cool. You'd like them. You'd really like them, actually. They're a gent band with what essentially is pop vocals. Really good. Really, really good.
I've not listened to any metal in a month.
I think you would like Sleep Talking. It's cool, man. I like it. Boston Man, I don't know. Holding Absence, I think they're another kind of genty band. Hot Milk, don't know them. Malevolence, hardcore band, very good. Don't know Death Blooms. Enter Shikari, be interesting to see live.
Not my cup of tea.
Not really mine either, but I think they would be really good live.
I mean, literally, of every single band on this set list, the only one I'd go and see is Bullet. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying there's much better on there, but okay. While She Sleeps, I think they're a kind of hardcore metalcore band. Creeper run about the same. Stonebroken, I don't know. Twin Atlantic, Scottish boys. Yonaka, don't know. Those Damn Crows, I know the name. How they're still gigging, I don't know.
I remember.
They had one song that was on Kerrang.
Yeah.
Vicovi, that is Stephen Dewar's friend's band. He does a lot of the running about for them. Hashtag Vandad. Remember Vandad was in the chat last week?
Yep.
Vandad tours. Stephen also streams. Shout out to Stephen. Hey, son. Tiger Cup, I don't know. Wargasm, it's quite a good name. Kieran had a death metal project that had an even worse name than that. It was called Aborgasm. That's fucking horrible, innit?
Yeah.
I'll not even tell you what one of the song titles was because it's worse than that. The Hara, I don't know. Bleed From Within, no my copper, but I'd imagine it'd be good live. I watched a video of them playing recently, and it was like it might have been downloaded at home actually. And as far as I know, the band themselves are involved in quite a lot of filming and backdrop stage production stuff, so the actual production was pretty fucking minted. As everything unfolds, I don't know Conjurer, I don't know, and Lotus Eater used to be a Glasgow band and are now all English members, I believe. It's essentially a completely different band. Kieran was friends with Lotus Eater for a wee bit, and then everything happened with him, and it was like, okay. But for my Valentine, I would put in the bin, personally. I don't know Frank Turner and the Sleeping Souls. Skindred, I've not listened to since I was a wee boy. Yep. The Wild Hearts, no bothered about. Trash Boat, don't know. Massive Wagons, never even heard of. Elvana would be interesting to see. You know who they are?
Nope.
A Nirvana cover band with Elvis as the front man.
Okay.
You never heard of Elvana?
No.
Genuinely, mint it. Really mint it. Jamie Lemon, don't know. Lonely the Brave, don't know. Higher Power, don't know. Loathe, I would definitely go and see Loathe, and they should be way higher up on the fucking playlist than that. Chubby and the Gang, don't know. Employed to Serve, good band. Cassiette, don't know. St Agnes, don't know. Static Dress, don't know. So
this is I mean, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Like age hits us all in terms of the change in music.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I could pull up a Download Festival poster from 2006, and you'd look for it and know every single band.
I've probably seen most of them at Download 2006.
Yeah.
Was that 2006? 2006 was Metallica headline, was it not? That was the
Metallica 2004. It was
405 was my first year then. Because I missed Strap Young Lad by 1 year. Fucking raging.
Yeah. You know what I mean, though? Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, kids today.
You ever watched the Download set with Katie Nelson? You know how she gets the bokeh things really easy? There's a bit where Devon spits and it ends up in his beard.
Oh, yeah.
And oh my God, every time she's like, I love it. It's so funny. Sorry, Katie. Anyway, Download Pilot. Meh.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're into it,
Could be cool.
I'm all for this idea of like trying to work out ways, because when it comes to music business, I'm always talking about not complaining about how things used to be, but taking steps to anticipate where changes are happening and the direction things are heading in, and moving with the changes and trying to be the next big thing rather than whinging about where things used to be. And this idea of 10,000 capacity festivals, I'm trying to, 10,000 is not a whole lot of people. I think where they're going wrong on this is only doing one of them, right? So the festival Melissa's playing at, I'm not sure of the capacity, but they're running over, they're currently at it now. They've started. So they are doing every weekend for 8 weeks, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, with different lineups.
Of course,
But
the point being, rather than having one big condensed festival, having several where people can pick when they go. And
exactly.
It works out a lot better in terms of crowd management.
Yep, but also it works in terms of the business, because they still get to bring in the same kind of levels of revenue because they're still selling massive amounts of tickets. You have a little bit more of a tailored experience. I mean, sure, staffing bills are a lot higher and all that, but you know, who knows? Maybe that's the future. Maybe if Download did the summer of Download, and every weekend for 4 weeks they put on a smaller festival. How do you feel about that as an idea?
You should pitch it to the Download guys, and me and you should be the compares. Just before we move away from this, go and bring this up on screen. Look at the state of that neck pocket and neck joint. Look at that heel. What the fuck is that an airline or something? Because it looks like a horrible shit plasticky bit of guitar, or maybe a Dan Electro. But like, even where the neck meets the bottom of that, where the bottom cut is, there's about fucking a centimetre worth of material there. Who built that? Lance Benedict? No, sorry. Who built that? Somebody in China under the name Lance Benedict?
Chris Bolt.
Ooh. Sorry, they're getting pelters today.
So, yeah, the idea of, like, I don't know, Summer of Bloodstock, or Bloodstock Summer of Blood. That's a great name for a festival, you know. And if they just ran a festival, a smaller festival, every week for 4 weeks, every week for 6 weeks.
Bloodletting.
I think think there's potential in that as an idea. And, you'd never catch me. You wouldn't catch me dead at somewhere like Reading Festival because there's too many, music as well, but too many people there. I wasn't happy about being at Download when I went to that. The only reason I went to Download is because I got the fucking RIP/VIP camping. So I had a quiet space that I could go to, you know?
You are such an old man.
I am. I don't like people. I don't like groups of people. I don't
like people you don't know.
Exactly. I don't like sharing my space with people. I'm not big on human contact.
You know that when I'm holding your leg when in the podcast?
I said last night when Jay was over, because I'm watching a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm at the moment. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. And there's an episode where Larry David accidentally gets wanked off by a masseuse.
Accidentally?
Accidentally.
Okay.
Like, he's really relaxed, and she's like, okay, do you want me to finish you off? And he's like, yeah. And then she starts wanking him off, and he's horrified by it. He's like, stop. Very, very strange. So I said last night, I don't like human contact. I don't want any of my friends to touch me. I don't want to hug people. The only person I want to come into contact with is my partner and my masseuse when she's wanking me off.
Fair.
So
aye.
Yeah. And I don't want that, actually. I had a massage once. It was the worst experience of my life.
I think if you go into a massage thinking you're going to feel relaxed, you will definitely not enjoy it.
I went into
essentially it as you being beat up.
Well, yeah, I had one massage in my life, and it was a deep tissue massage. And I swear to God, the woman that was massaging me was clearly thinking to herself, if I can make him tap out of this as fast as possible, I'll get a long break. Right, so out of stubbornness, I stayed there for the whole thing, but I wanted to tap out after a couple of minutes. Like, it was agony. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good for me. It didn't help me in any way. I finished and was in agony, and the next day I woke up sore as fuck, and I'm like, why have I done this? Never again. No, thank you.
I've had 2 or 3 massages. One in a place in Glasgow that looked dodgy but was actually really nice. When I turned up, I was like, oh no, this has got to be one of the places. But the website, on their FAQ, sure. The first thing it said is, do you offer extras? And they said no, and if you ask, you'll be escorted very quickly out the door. So I was glad for that. Why is it all small Thai women are the strongest people you've ever met?
Yeah.
I know that's like a nearly racist thing to say, but the 2 massages I've had, it was both small, I assume, Thai women. I know Thai Orchid was definitely Thai because that was in the name. But Christ almighty, the strength of this wee woman in her hands for about an hour. Like, I've got seriously tense shoulders and a tense back and neck. I don't know why, other than having terrible posture and being lazy. Back problems kind of run my family. But she was like a hot knife through butter with this thumb right into my shoulder blade, and I was like, that's probably the worst and best thing that's ever happened to me. And then the second time was much the same. It was just super, super strong. But I enjoyed it. Yeah. I get why you didn't know. You don't like people touching you as is.
Exactly. I don't know.
I was in for it, man. I was like, yes, I don't even need a safe word. Hurt me.
Yeah.
Hurt me more.
Well, she's like...
Name that quote.
What?
Name that quote.
Hurt me more.
Mm-hmm. Like that. Grey Fox. Metal Gear Solid 1.
Not my series. Not a fan.
Why am I doing this podcast for you?
It's a good question. I had when my
aimed it's in the Monday Night Guitar Geek Club. Slag Levi for no being into Metal Gear Solid. What an absolute sausage.
Life's too short to sit for another Hideo Kojima cutscene. I've just not got the energy.
Definitely if you're playing fucking Death Stranding, but the Metal Gear series are amazing.
The fucking
Snake Eater is probably one of the best games I've ever played.
The end of Metal Gear Solid 2, the cutscene is almost half an hour.
That's pretty
long. And then
long.
you go into Metal Gear Solid 4, the ending cutscene is over an hour long.
I haven't played that, to be fair. I also didn't want to play one where you played a geriatric old man that couldn't walk about. If one of your accessories is an inhaler, I'm not into your computer game, I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? Give Snake a rest.
Yeah.
Speaking of old and worn out, Dave Mustaine.
No. Because we're going to do David Ellefson and Dave Mustaine at the end. I want to do
this. Okay, sorry. Right, well, I'm jumping ahead. There's me making segues we're not going to do yet.
I know. You are supposed to be a co-host on this podcast, so really, if you do that, I should just be going with you.
That's all right.
I shouldn't be like, no, shut up.
I want to do this next. That's fine. I don't mind. I'm easy.
I thought this was actually quite an interesting little article, because anytime there's anything slightly music related that's covered by a news outlet, a journalist outlet, I saw you rolling your eyes there, and I was like, shit, let me check the date. Is it an old story?
No, it's fine.
Anytime I see something that's semi-music related, but isn't posted by one of the normal outlets that we would read, it's when it's posted by somewhere that normies would read. Yeah, if your dad's going to read this, then it's
My dad doesn't read The Guardian. My dad doesn't read.
So this is posted on The Guardian.
My dad saw a letter, he couldn't see the bibs on page 3. Sorry, Dad.
There's no boobs in The Guardian, apart from the journalists. So,
good one.
The title of this is All the Small Things, How Blink-182's Travis Barker Became the Most Influential Person in Music. And I found that a really, do these motherfuckers even know who...
It's a reach, isn't it?
It felt like a reach.
But at the same time...
Did you read this?
I haven't, but I know that Travis has got his fingers in many pies.
Yeah.
Many pies. He's in quite a lot of hip-hop stuff as well.
Yeah.
A lot of different bands, and a lot of people go to him for sessions, and I think does he produce stuff as well?
Yeah.
Aye.
We'll read the first
Cool.
paragraph.
So, from Lil Wayne to Willow Smith, the pop punk drummer is making his mark across the musical landscape. Is it more than mere nostalgia? The most influential person in music right now is Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker. Don't believe us? This year alone, 25 tracks featuring or produced by Barker have been released. He has worked with new pop punk era Willow Smith and TikTok e-boy turned singer Lil Huddy, signed TikTok emo GXDN, produced Trippie Red's Neon Shark album, and drummed on Baby Rex, his new single. I felt as if I was taking a stroke there because there's that many X's and random letters and words that I've never read.
Yeah.
In fact, Barker's work rate means I'll start again. In fact, Barker's work rate means he's reaching Pharrell Williams-like levels. At one point in 2003, one survey found that 43% of all songs on US radios were produced by Williams' production duo, the Neptunes. You know how you can tell a Pharrell Williams tune?
Go on.
First beat goes 4 repeats. Think about Happy. Dun 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 dun. Might seem crazy, but that's his signature.
Okay.
So, any you've heard that's produced where it just comes in with like 4 repeats at the very start, it's him. Genuinely. And he is not stopping. Barker's produced a new Blink-182 album this year and more music with Machine Gun Kelly. Boo. His recent switch from rap to pop punk on album Tickets to My Downfall was a collaboration with, you guessed it, Travis Barker. Given that most trends come around every 20 years, 2021 was always going to be a pop punk returned. Seminal albums by Sum 41, Alkaline Trio, Jimmy Eat World, American Hi-Fi, and of course Blink-182's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket were all released in 2001, which means a whole new generation of musicians are turning to the star for inspiration.
So
Great album, but
yeah, I was just going to say I actually had Take Off Your Pants and Jacket on earlier this week. It's a great record.
I love the name of it.
Yeah,
It's so clever. It took me a few years to get it.
Yeah, the artwork for it is conveys
Tremendous.
that message really really wonderfully. So
as did the music videos. What I like about Blink-182 as a band, I'm not massively into them, but they were a band that managed to evolve really well and somehow keep the majority of their fans while they evolved. Because you think about the difference between the early stuff into like I Miss You, like even what other did some, was it Down was the kind of last track they did before they split and Angels and Airwaves became a thing.
I mean, I think there's a logical reason why they managed to keep their fan base, and that's because they were a genuine band that started very young and developed their musical tastes as they went, but their audience were going through the same thing. You know,
Yes.
They pitched at an age group that was growing with the band, and that's ideal. You know, it's hard to, if you're into like us now in our 30s, like listening to Blink-182's first album and then listening to their 5th album, you're like, what went wrong? But those are the sorts of things that you have to experience in the moment. You have to go through that.
I think it helps as well they are good songwriters.
Yes.
And there's no doubt about that. And I don't mean this in any negative way, but some 41 fans might have been the same way had it been that their songwriting skills kept up as they went on.
Sure.
But it didn't have the same evolution in my mind. They went from being a pop punk band to kind of want to be a metal band, but not quite. And that I don't think they had anywhere near the same levels of hooks or clever musicality or knowing to play to the right parts and stuff that Blink did.
And it's interesting, I was having this conversation, I'm sure it was with, it wasn't with Barry, it was with one of Melissa's friend David. We were talking about Blink-182 and bands from that era. And I forget the details of the conversation, but the idea was, you know, should Blink-182 have been even bigger than they were? And to me, it's like, no, they were really, really, really fucking big, and rightfully so, because they were a great band. But for me, I actually would prefer Sum 41 over Blink-182.
Really?
In most settings, I would probably rather take Sum 41. Probably because, I mean, you rightfully pointed it out there, there's a little bit more metal in the Sum 41 stuff, because back when they had Dave Brown sound in the band, and Steve-O, the drummer's definitely, Steve-O 32 is definitely a metalhead.
Oh, aye.
You know? So I kind of liked all of that.
I like the influence in it and their pop punk stuff, and Does It Look Infected is great because it's got riffs and stuff in it too. It's felt as if they went a bit too heavy into the trying to be thrashy and not doing it very well. For example, that what was the fucking song that Kerry King on it? It's What We're All About or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rock. It's what we're all about. It's what we live for. We're going to shout it out. Shut the fuck up, Derek. Come on.
Yeah, that is a bit embarrassing. I'll give you that.
And then Kerry King appears in the video and does a terrible solo over a terrible bit of music, and you're like,
completely forgot about that song.
I'm like, in the video he's upside down and shit. Like, come on, fuck, he's haven't even tried here.
I think
which disappoints me because Does It Look Infected?
Yeah.
Half Hour of Power and
All Killer No Filler.
All Killer No Filler. Fucking great albums.
Yeah.
Great albums.
Yeah.
Pain for Pleasure. Absolutely nailery a tune.
Yeah.
It really is. In fact, one of my old bands used to cover that.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
There we go. The bingo. Mike did the singing.
I have to. I can't help it.
I did enjoy Sum 41. I think the thing with a lot of music of that era, of that generation, is like how well has it aged.
Yes.
Blink-182 still have some like bangers of songs outside of the nostalgia aspect.
I think Adam's song's one that will just be cracking forever because it's such a good song with substance.
Yeah. I think like Sum 41 maybe don't have that with a lot of the songs, but I do think Still Waiting is very much
that and the Hill song. I think
they'll stick up there as no matter 50 years from now. I think Still Waiting, you'll hear that and go, huh, okay, I can see why these guys were popular. For me, Blink-182, I don't know, maybe they were a bit too commercial for my ears. Maybe commercial is not the right word, but there was a very definite, like, something about Mark and Tom's voices, and I love both of their voices, and I love the way that both of their voices work together, but there was just something really, how would you describe it? Like
overproduced?
California teen to it, is the way it felt to me.
Yes.
It felt
but
like...
more like...
Can I really relate with what this band are doing? Because
is it a West Coast versus East Coast kind of thing? Maybe?
I mean, Sum 41, I'm sure they're out that way as well.
Are they?
But still, like it didn't feel like they were steering into it quite as much. Blink-182 very much felt like an American band for American kids.
I have got a theory.
Go on.
I think the difference is that a lot of the Blink-182 big songs are all major and kind of bouncy, whereas Sum 41 had some parts like that, but it was still quite rocky and focused on swagger and attitude rather than just having like a really simple, almost pop-like melody.
Yeah.
Is that maybe...
But let's not pretend that Blink don't have heavy moments.
No, of course not. I don't mean like that. I don't mean they don't have songs that are like minor keys or whatever.
If I just look at you and say, so here's your holiday, you hear the heaviest...
I was just thinking about Adam's song a second ago.
Yeah.
And the drums going, the constant eighths on that bass drum and stuff. Brilliant.
And I have to say, actually, Travis is a great fucking drummer.
Ridiculous musician in general. Apparently he suffers from those is it suicide migraines they call them, like the worst headaches in the world,
right? And
like they can be completely debilitating. Imagine a migraine that happens for days on end and it affects your full body.
Didn't he have
he was in a plane crash?
Yeah, it was
70% body burns or something.
Burns. Yeah, I remember that. The problem,
and yet he's still the coolest motherfucker kicking about. All his tattoos look pristine, and he's still playing drums and shit.
The problem that Blink-182 are always going to have is not Sum 41. For me, it's always going to be The Offspring. I'm always going to take The Offspring over all of these bands because that's my pop punk love.
Because you want to be Dexter Holland?
No, I don't. I want to be Noodles. Yeah,
an old man,
Kevin Wasserman.
Yeah. You just want to have a guitar covered in duct tape.
That's what I wanted so much. And I still, if somebody has an Ibanez NTM1, I'll absolutely take it right off you. Always wanted one.
We've spoken about this a few times.
Yeah.
I love that they're all hand wrapped as in they're all like one on one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make them special in any way. It's just fucking duct tape.
I still love that guitar.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. So those aren't going to be Blink-182's problems. Blink-182's problems are always going to be that the best thing that Blink-182 have ever done is Tom appearing on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Just when he spoke about aliens and shit.
The guy is off his fucking rocker.
I do feel sorry for him because he believes that he was abducted, doesn't he?
He believes that he's literally working with the FBI.
We spoke about this at what, 34 episodes ago, maybe?
Anyone that's not watched it, go and watch it. The guy's off his fucking rocker. And, maybe he's not. I guess that's the thing with conspiracy theories.
To be
You're
fair,
not paranoid if people really are watching you. Like, maybe everything he says is true.
Is there not a song called I Believe in Aliens on Dude Ranch? So this goes right back.
Sure.
This isn't like a new thing. He's not went, fuck, something's not right, and like lost himself. I think he's leading into something that he honestly believes.
It's weird because you have to look at the types of things that he's talking about on like the Rogan podcast and go, either this guy's like needs to be locked up, or there's truth in what he's saying. Like the man believes that he has parts of an alien spacecraft at home. He believes he has alien materials and things. He won't show them to you, but he believes he's got them. You know?
I believe I've got Jesus' body in my house. Can't see it. Yeah. That's it. You need to take my word for it.
Yeah. It's a packet of Jacob's cream crackers. Yeah. So
terrible man.
I think you're kind of right at the start of the story where we talk about them reaching a little bit. I don't think he's the most influential person in music in any way, shape, or form, but he's a lot more influential than I thought he was.
Yeah. Like he's ridiculous. He works with loads of people, and him being a drummer that has the pop punk cred, but also all the production and skills of someone that probably does hip hop stuff, because a lot of his playing is like that. It's almost the same as John Otto with Limp Bizkit, all the same production. It's like the drum kit sounds ridiculously good, but it sounds like a hip hop drum kit.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like the snare and the bass drum pop like fuck, and it's big rhythm, nice percussion, smart plays. I can see why he's such a big deal, because rhythmically he is something else.
Yeah.
Even fucking, is it Always is the name of the song, that the music video was the 3 windows and it chopped through them.
I remember.
Come on, let me hold you, touch you, something like that. But there's a bit in that
again. He's singing again.
There's a bit in it where Travis Barker's doing 30 seconds on the hi-hat, but he's also playing like fly wee notes on the snare and doing wee ghost notes and accents and stuff, and it's just... Yeah,
he's a phenomenally good drummer. And I have all the respect in the world, actually, for people that... It's hard to describe, isn't it? He plays the drums to an extremely high level, but it's not in your face. You wouldn't know it unless you were really listening for it. You know, he plays in a band, and he's also an incredible drummer. Kind of like Dave Grohl in Nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
He's a much better drummer than he appeared to be in Nirvana.
But I think the thing is that he plays to the music.
Yeah.
For example, again, going back to Adam's song, that chorus,
yeah,
he could have done anything he wanted. He could have had any number of things, but he's got the bass drum going at every hit of the guitar and bass, so it's all just perfectly synced. Yeah. The cymbals are fourths, I think, maybe eighths, and it's just ringing perfect at the top of it. And in other parts, he's got a lot of flashy bits.
I think there's a little more to it, though, than playing the song, right? Because playing to the song. Because I think that, by and large, I reckon you or I, could probably get by on drums playing Blink-182 material, right? As in, we'd never heard the songs before. The songs hadn't been written. But we were just called into the studio for the recording sessions. Mm-hmm. We could probably get by, you know? We could play up-tempo punk rock drum parts.
I'm just looking up Blink-182 now so I can find these song titles. Yes, but we could, but we would never do the same justice that Travis
That's
did.
exactly the point. Like,
yes.
It's all the flair that he adds to parts that an average punk rock drummer wouldn't think to put in there. You're not going to hear the types of flashy little drum fills that he's putting in.
Even the rock show,
Offspring record.
The rock show in the chorus, she said what? And I told her that I didn't. These snare rolls are fast as fuck.
Yeah. So, bastard, I'm probably going to spend most of my afternoon watching Travis Barker drum videos now.
I'm not going to lie, I think I'm probably going to have Blink-182 albums on while I'm doing my stuff.
Yes.
Always, that's the name of the song I'm thinking about, and it's a belter, and that's got some great drums in it. Even the drums in I Miss You. Sure. A lot of that is using like those percussive blocks.
Yeah. Mate, this is drum soles today. We've talked about the
pretty much.
Well,
we're going to go into bass holes in a wee second.
That's a good point. We've not really
Plunkers.
We talked about the Download Festival. We talked about drummers, and we're talking about a bass player. We are not covering any guitar news this episode. This will be the No Guitar Show.
Well, you've got one up on there.
The Fear Factory thing.
Yes.
That's talking about Dave.
All right, okay. But that is Dino. He's a guitarist.
Sure.
Right. So we move on for Travis.
Let's move on from Travis to David Ellefson again. But let's start with... Actually, I tell you what. Let's do something fun beforehand.
Dave Ellefson's getting more screen time than he wanted, even from now. Hi-oh.
I love this.
It's great, and when I seen it, the first thing I thought was, you will love this when I send it.
I absolutely love this.
So you can guess who this is, and obviously he's been stopped at a festival.
Yeah.
So Daron Malakian himself, kicking about, being himself. I mean, he's quite obviously him. He's not hiding the fact that he is a nutter.
Yeah.
Age 23, from Los Angeles, California. Who was the best band? System of a Down. Biggest surprise, System of a Down. I just thought those guys were the best. Verdict, if you guys missed System of a Down, you missed everything. They blew me away. Best part being, he gave his actual fucking name, and the person that's done this article or whatever, the journalist on site, didn't have a clue.
Sure.
He's not an inconspicuous man.
Sure.
Those sunglasses make him look like a fucking alien.
Well, while I agree with you and know exactly what you mean, also, like, just from how he's dressed in this, you know that this is pre-Toxicity. Mm-hmm. This is when the first System album was dropped. So,
Steal This album?
No, it's just self-titled. Steal This album came after Toxicity.
Was it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So
I didn't know that. Oh, well, good to know.
That self-titled album is a weird album as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because he looked like that. They were all maniacs.
It was changed.
It's totally understandable that the journalist had no idea who he was, because I think that it would be the equivalent of us being at Download, just interviewing random people and then not knowing who the guitarist was from a band that was on the second stage halfway through the day.
Yep.
But still,
the balls of steel.
Yeah, this is
the goal.
The type of thing where if you turned around and told me that this was actually faked, this didn't happen, I'd be like, bullshit. There's nothing more Daron, I think, than that.
It's right up his street, innit?
You sent me that this morning, and I had to chuckle at that. Definitely.
As soon as I saw it, I knew you would be into it. Definitely. I was killing myself laughing.
So let's start the Megadeth chat. It's more Megadeth chat than straight Dave Ellefson chat. So earlier in the week, we were talking to Tom Monder, and Tom shared a clip of Dave Mustaine advertising a beer.
That clip's now gone.
That clip is gone, yeah.
Wonder why.
Well, it's really...
Can be to do with the fact that he looks geriatric, the riff's pish,
yeah,
and he's just trying to sell something.
It was poor, but there are some clips of it in this. It really, really strange, because you're totally right. The playing wasn't very good. The camera angle was dreadful. Just the overall quality of everything was dreadful. And he just played this really generic thing on the guitar, and then said, if you thought that was tasty, then you're going to love our beer. And it's like, that wasn't tasty. And
what the fuck's that going to be beer?
Try harder to sell your stuff than this.
It can't be that old though, because Dave...
It was new. He was playing Nick Gibson in it.
I was going to say, yeah, but he also looks like
old,
very old, man. He looks like he's about to fall asleep holding the guitar.
Yeah, I had honestly assumed when the video was taken down, because we planned to talk about it, and then in our group the video wasn't there anymore. I was like, what was this? And then I worked it out. When this got posted and you shared this today, and there's clips in this of him playing, I'm like, that's the same fucking camera angle, and he is playing the Gibson in it. So it was, Dave and Megadeth's beer is not a new thing. They've had a beer for years, and for some reason they just seem to be pushing it a little bit. So let's watch this.
For those of you that are going to have to watch this with us, I'm sorry, it's not very good.
Okay, all right. What have you got to say to us, Dave?
Hey, it's Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, wishing all of you a very happy Memorial Day weekend. If you liked what I just played and you think that was tasty, you'll love our beer. Very tasty at Le Monde and Saison 13. We're having a flash sale right now at craftshack.com, so go there. Make sure you get your beer now.
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it, really? I mean, he was playing the end part of a Le Monde, but it was really bad. And he was playing one part of the harmony, and probably not the bit you would whistle.
Yeah, it's
like if you were listening to that song, you would sing the no, not the that harmony. You would do the.
I just like, honestly, I'm just gonna have his face out on screen while we're saying this, right?
You're right, son. You haven't got 20 pence for the bus, have you? I'm trying to go up the road, but I've been stuck in the hospital, and my daughter's up the road, and she's going to make me a cuppa, but she couldn't pick me up, and my mobile's out of battery, and I'm need to go up the road. If you could just help us out, please, and God bless. But look at it, look.
That's painfully accurate.
Isn't it?
I don't think that Dave Mustaine needs to do videos like this to sell his beer. If anything, these videos like this have resulted in me having a lesser opinion of the beer. I would if I was in a shop and I saw some bottles of this, I would happily pick it up. In the same way that if I'm in like B&M Home Bargains or whatever, and I see, I don't know, Iron Maiden's The Trooper, yeah, sure, I'll pick up some bottles of the Trooper.
You shouldn't know, it's bad. And just being sincere, that's not because it's Maiden related,
sure.
It's because it's a shit beer.
Well, yeah, fine. But
to try it, if there was one there, like the Motorhead beer, I've not tried that one.
Yeah,
I would try it.
The branding of like Eddie on a bottle and the Iron Maiden name is enough to sell the product.
Clearly, otherwise it wouldn't still be on the shelves because it's shit beer.
And so the Megadeth brand And Vic on a bottle should be enough to sell the beer. You know, people would buy it based on that. You don't need this. John Petrucci didn't need to do something like this to sell his bourbon. You know, it's just this stuff should sell itself.
I mean, to be fair, the bourbon had 200 bottles that you could buy, versus Dave, who's trying to been selling this beer for quite a few years, ongoing. So maybe that's a supply and demand thing. But I get your point entirely. Yeah. This is not good marketing.
Yeah, I saw that there was a Jack and Victor still game whiskey.
Was there?
That's been released.
They did a few Tennent's cans, and they were worth a fortune, like collectibles. But Tennent's have already got quite a big following cult-wise for their cans and stuff as well, because they used to do them with the ladies on them. Right.
Yeah, well, there's a proper... it's called Jack and Victor, and it's an official still game bottle of whiskey. I saw it advertised to me on Twitter, and I was like, I'm going to pick that up.
How much is it?
35 quid.
Oh, that's totally reasonable.
Perfectly reasonable.
So fucking cool.
I put it in my basket and everything with the intention of buying it, and then they wanted 7 quid postage, and I was like, I hate overpaying for postage. You know what I mean? I absolutely fucking
You're going to hate the next couple of years then, while Brexit gets worked out.
So what are we looking at here?
Of course I will pay $90 for 12 cans and 6 bottles of beer. Fuck off, you dreaming cunts. $90, and that's the special deal. It was $120 for 18 beers.
18 pack. Shipping's included.
Even at that, fuck right off.
Yeah, what's that? I mean, stuff like this really annoys me. Look at this, look.
7 or 8 quid a fucking can or something?
The Megadeth Saison 13 16-ounce can.
In a 335ml bottle.
Why the fuck are we getting millilitres and ounces?
Because it's America.
They
have, see, when you go and you buy fuel in America by the gallon, their gallons are different from gallons. No, sorry, pints are different in America from pints here, so the gallon's less in America than it is in Britain.
Yeah.
Or anywhere else in the world. Why do you need to be weird cunts about numbers? Everybody else is on board.
To be fair, I will give credit to America on this one thing, and you won't like this because you're a vegan most of the time. I would super be up for being able to buy my milk by the gallon.
I still drink milk sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's why
I wouldn't drink a gallon of it.
Exactly, you wouldn't buy a gallon of milk, but I wish I could get a gallon of milk.
I'd probably go off. What about milk bags? How do you feel about a bag of milk?
Fine.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't take an issue with a milk bag.
It's a bit of a strange one. I've never seen it for a while, and then like as more kind of American and Canadian restaurants and stuff open, like Tim Hortons, I think they get the bags in and they just put the bag in a jug and then cut the top off it. And I'm like, well, why not just have it in a container you can pour from?
Yeah, I do remember there definitely was a period where supermarkets were trying to sell milk in bags, but it wasn't.
I can imagine he'd be really weird,
which is a shame. If it's better for packaging,
is it though?
Probably uses less plastic. Yeah,
I'd hope so, but I also wouldn't necessarily believe it's that much less. So I don't know what the environmental impact would be.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because now we're talking about the economics of selling milk, which is not really a Guitar Soul subject, but I'd rather have all of my milk in glass bottles because they're fully recyclable.
Ellefson's been spilling his milk for people.
So you'd think that would make more sense, but then transporting milk around in heavy glass bottles is awful. So
but plastic containers.
What?
As in, like, when you get the plastic bottles of milk?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is because I'm sure they don't recycle in the same way that a glass bottle would. So I'd rather have all my milk in glass bottles. But
I'd actually get milk delivered in glass bottles, mostly for the wee man, but I like it in my tea and my coffee and my cereal. NGL, not going to lie. Right, so let's talk about these very interesting opinions.
We totally called this.
We did, and that was exactly how I put it on the page. It was called As It Is. Dave Ellefson says he was the victim of revenge porn in the first statement since Megadeth dismissal.
He absolutely was.
Of course he was. Yeah. The problem was that his friend, the person that he was being consensual with, shared that, and then the other person shared it publicly. So both of them are on the hook because the first person gave access to someone else who didn't have permission. So that's revenge porn right away, and then someone else has distributed revenge porn otherwise.
I don't think showing a video to a friend would ever get done.
If you showed it on your phone, maybe not, but sending the image or sending the files,
potentially.
Yeah, you're still distributing it without permission.
Laws in different places, different countries, and
So the basis is seeking to bring revenge pornography charges against the person who leaked a compromising video.
Good
luck.
There
was actually quite a few people in the chat last week on Monday Night Guitar Geek Club talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Was it Andrew Kovacic that was talking about it? I think we were in agreement. I'm not sure it was I was speaking to, apologies. But 100% in my mind, this is what it should be happening. And I think the person should be held to account for not only that, but slander.
Well, I called someone for it on Facebook, like when the Megadeth fired him, which I don't think we actually announced either. Yeah, we've not announced it. Megadeth have parted ways with it.
And their statement was reeking bollocks. I think it was Mustaine looking for... Well, here's obviously they've got a strained relationship.
Yeah.
Soon,
but he's not had a good reason to get rid of him.
Exactly. This has just been we'll just need to get rid of him because it's going to affect the band.
Yeah.
But I also do understand that the band itself are worried about the brand and live shows coming back and essentially having everybody in the crowd doing wanker signs and shouting things and whatever else. Because Dave's very sensitive and I don't think he can put up with that.
But I think they were like overwhelmingly, many, many more people than I thought would, because I'm used to taking the contrarian opinion on things like this. Mm-hmm. Every time someone shared this to me, I've said absolute horseshit. Like there's no reason for him to be fired from the band over this. Mm-hmm. Most people seem to be agreeing with that position.
I totally agree with it. I think it's Dave taking the opportunity to kick a man while he's down, almost in revenge. Maybe that's the completely wrong way to look at it. But it wouldn't put it past Dave, to be spiteful in that regard. Yeah. I also don't believe that when he fell asleep on his hand and lost control, then disbanded the band, and then had a new band full of other members that probably had a lesser cut than everybody else, that wasn't just a fucking coincidence that he somehow miraculously had a fucking return of power to his hand. Yeah. In my mind, that's how I see it.
I did see one person sharing the story saying, good, Megadeth hasn't got a place for beasts in the band. And I just left a wee comment on it saying, "Help me out. Have you got any evidence there? Have you got any evidence that this man's a beast?" And this guy messaged me, literally just messaged me on Facebook and said, "Are you seriously defending Dave Ellefson here?" And then blocked me. And it's like,
well, I can't defend him if you're not going to listen to the answer, cunt.
It's like,
why would you bother messaging you?
You damn fucking right I'm defending him, because he's literally the victim of revenge porn here. You can look at this, and we've argued about this, or not between you and myself, but like we've discussed this at length. You can have whatever opinion you like about old men dating young girls, right? But if they are of legal age, and you think that people that are of legal age have their own agency, then you can have a moral debate all you want, but there was no legal issue here. The only person who has had a crime committed against them is David Ellefson.
That's it, entirely, especially considering the person who received the videos came forward and said, not only am I of age, I actually instigated this. Yeah. So, exactly as you put it, if you have a moral problem with that, if you feel as if that there's too much of an age gap, or that, and if, as far as I understand, Ellefson's married, so there's other debates to be had there. Yep. Fair enough. Fill your boots. Say what you need to say and believe whatever you need to believe.
And contact your local politicians and try and go to politicians and have them instate laws that make adultery illegal. Go for that. Do that. That's much better than condemning a man, calling him a beast because he's done nothing legally wrong, but you think what he's done is morally wrong.
There are two terms that if men are given these, rightfully or wrongfully, it's pretty much that's them for life. And one's rapist and the other one's paedophile. Yeah. And I genuinely mean that, and that's why I'm very hesitant about even joking about these things when you're using an actual example or talking about a person. And I say this quite a lot when I'm talking to people about these topics. Like, they're just not the kind of thing you joke about, not only for the victims, but for the people that you're accusing. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that I think that you shouldn't believe victims. These claims shouldn't be taken serious. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if those terms are ascribed to someone, and we all know that there is a very strong emotional connection to those types of terms. Yeah. Vigilante justice appears out of nowhere. Yeah. You end up with people like fucking pedo hunters or whatever they call themselves in the UK and all these other things. I on one level agree with the idea that sometimes these people evade justice and it's not fair, but it's still vigilantism. Yeah. And again, we've been over these kind of topics before, but
you can't walk this accusation back. And the problem with an accusation like this, be careful about levying accusations like this, is 6 months from now, people are going to be, if you post that Dave Ellefson's a beast online, people are going to read that, hear it, assume it's true, and then that information just gets passed around, and that's just what people remember. The details are really, really fucking important in this.
Context and intent
matters.
Absolutely. And the thing about this one is the fact that our first reaction was much the same. We saw the first leak of it was obviously the friend
Yep.
who was claiming that Dave was sending them pretty much without any sort of instigation or whatever else, and they were unsolicited and whatever else, painting him in such a bad light. But we have since seen that someone's came forward and said, actually, no, I was the one that got the photos or videos. I asked for them. This was consensual. I'm an adult.
Yep.
That changes the context entirely.
But lots of people don't want to hear that. They stick
course
their
they do.
fingers in their ears and they say, yeah, but he did it with this one girl, so I bet
He's
he
an
was...
older man. He should know
Yeah,
better.
so
He
he-
is a prolific paedophile.
Yeah, he
No, he's
must
not.
have been doing it with other girls. He must have been. And he must have been grooming her since before she was... And it's like, give me some motherfucking evidence. Show me some motherfucking receipts. Because I can absolutely fucking assure you that if David Ellefson had been doing this with lots of fucking people, that some of them would have come forward by now.
Another questionable viewpoint I saw people talking about and leaving in comments on like some of the public articles was, oh, all you snowflakes getting offended and upset. They're rock stars. They used to fuck groupies all the time. Like, shut up, right? Really, if your opinion is that, then just say what happens behind closed doors with people. As long as it's consensual, that's their business.
Yep.
None of this rock stars can go and do this and go and do that. Like, stop holding people in pedestals and keeping stereotypes alive because they're stupid.
Yep.
There's plenty of people out there who are sex maniacs and whatever else, right? And like addicted and sleep round as many women as they can. Fucking Gene Simmons reportedly slept over 1,000 women or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like ridiculous figures, right? But
Never had a drink, though.
I believe that. But people herald him as if that's a cool thing. I draw the line what you're talking about. Like, if you have a problem with two consensual adults having some sort of sexual relationship, whether that's through fucking sexting or whatever, then you can't not be attacking other people. And I get that people can choose their battles as well, but it just seems like a really stupid hill to die on. It's maybe the best way to put it.
It's not even a hill that's been dying on here, is it? It's mob mentality. It's
Aye.
blood's in the water. Let's go after him. Read these quotes.
So when the video first leaked, the bassist initially addressed the situation by stating, in part, "While certainly embarrassing, I want to address it as openly and honestly as possible. As much as it's not something I'm proud of, these were private, adult interactions that were taken out of context and manipulated to inflict maximum damage to my reputation, my career and family."
True.
Very true. He also shared an apparent testimonial from the woman herself, who wrote, "Yes, those video calls did happen, but I was the one to initiate them, and never was I underage. I was always a consenting adult. Nothing inappropriate ever happened before that. It was all consensual. I'm not a victim, and I have not been groomed in the slightest, as I was the one to initiate it." That's quite an ambiguous statement, isn't it? I don't know who's to blame, who did what wrong or right, and if they was allowed to do that, and if he was asked.
But therein lies the problem with calling someone a beast, which is if you call Dave Ellefson a beast and you paint him as that in your mind, then it's impossible for you to read that statement and not think that she's been coerced into saying it. It's impossible.
Also, this is clearly another human being who has agency.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
When we start looking at black and white, this person is X and this person is Y, and ignore what both people are saying, then you've removed the agency and pretty much dehumanised one part of the aspect because it doesn't fit the narrative that you want to go with.
Yep.
So now, in a statement issued to Rolling Stone, Ellefson put the focus on the criminal aspect of the leaked video rather than his dismissal from Megadeth.
Because his dismissal is irrelevant. He can't talk his way back into the band.
I don't think he probably wants to. He's probably at the situation where he's like, well, I know that's basically just whatever Dave, if it is, it's a very convenient excuse to be pigeonholed into that. We don't want you in the band because of X.
Yeah.
So recently a very private video was illegally posted on the internet and false allegations were made against me. The actions in the video were between two consenting adults and were recorded without my knowledge. I am working with Scottsdale Police Department and their investigation into charges regarding revenge pornography to be filed against the person who posted this video. Also, my lawyers are preparing a defamation lawsuit to be filed against this person. This person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
And I absolutely hope that is the case, but I highly fucking doubt it goes anywhere. When I saw this posted on social media, it was people just don't understand what this means. They were saying Dave made the right decision, and what is he hoping to get out of Dave out of this? This has nothing to do with him suing Dave. This is David suing Dave, or Ellefson suing Mustaine. This is Ellefson going after the person that has sought to what's the quote? Inflict maximum damage to my reputation, career, and family. That's absolutely fucking true.
Of course it is, because these, first of all, it shouldn't have been recorded, as it says on there, recorded without his knowledge. So the person that he was having these video calls with shouldn't have done that. I don't know how illegal that is, but
He won't be going after her.
no,
There's
he's not.
not
The
a
big
chance.
problem here is that it's been distributed.
Yeah.
Now, she is somewhat to blame for sharing that with a friend, if it's been that she shared it, or maybe a friend's found it and been concerned about the situation. I don't know. Context we don't have. But someone who's an unrelated third party has shared these images without David knowing, and also put their own context on it, which does absolutely seem to be going for maximum intent of harm for him, his family, and his career. And
it has impacted
course it
his
has.
career significantly. It's impacted his reputation significantly, and I'd imagine it has impacted his family significantly. The problem in scenarios like this, when you sue someone over for defamation or any sort of slander or libel, aside from it being extremely hard to prove, once you have proved it, you have to prove damages for it to be relevant. If it's not damaged you in any way, shape, or form, then it's completely irrelevant. Speaking as not a lawyer, in this scenario, I think it's quite easy that David can demonstrate clear, significant financial damages from this,
And reputational damages. I don't imagine that Jackson are going to want to work with him very much anymore. And he's been on quite a lot of different websites, video blogs, features recently talking about his bass gear and his tone, and because he's an accomplished musician, and he's known for being in Megadeth, the longest serving member apart from Dave.
Yeah, it has significantly impacted his career, and there's no coming back from it, which is awful. Just awful. The fucking legacy that this man has given, and I don't want to say that because somebody has contributed significant artistic output to the scene that we're interested in, therefore they are free of any criticism of things they do. But the reason I bring up the legacy that the man has is because we are destroying all of that with false accusations and just tarring, because it's fun, isn't it? It's fun to gang up on someone and just get. This isn't us going after Lance Benedict. David Ellefson has not fucking hurt anyone in this scenario, other than his wife and family.
Which you can have all the criticism and moral problems with all you want. Doesn't change the fact that he's still the victim of revenge porn.
Yeah, and also you're not involved in his marriage. We talked about this last time. Maybe that's totally fine in their relationship. Maybe they have a completely open relationship.
Maybe it was until it became public. That you don't know what happens behind closed doors. That's maybe where the complications have come in.
Yeah, we make a lot of assumptions, and I'm trying to make as few assumptions as possible on this, and the only way I can make as few assumptions as possible on this is by going with the evidence that I'm presented. And when the person involved says this happened without my consent, and the other person involved said I shouldn't have shared these videos, but I was absolutely of the legal age and I instigated them, etc. That's all you have, and to add anything to that just makes you a bad person.
It also damages your argument significantly, because you go from talking about facts to complete speculation based on fucking jib patter.
But we have a couple of additional people weighing in on this scenario.
I can't really be arsed with listening to these people, but at the same time, we should read it out. So Megadeth producer says David Ellefson is probably guilty of what 90% of other musicians out there have done, and shares feelings on Mustaine firing the bassist. I can't unsee it now, says fucking, was it Max Norman?
Yeah.
No bother, Max Normie.
I should point out, what do you mean you can't unsee it? That means you've watched it. I haven't actually watched these videos because I have no interest in seeing them. I've seen a thumbnail, I've seen a screenshot, and I'm like, I know exactly what that is. I have no interest in watching these things because you won't be able to unsee it once you've seen it. That image will be burned in my mind.
I chose not to.
Yeah, no, thank you. So,
even the fact that there's a paragraph in here that says the bassist denied the grooming accusations. Why the fuck is that in inverted brackets?
Yeah.
Because the accusation is that he was grooming. It's not grooming.
Well, because it's been posted on Ultimate Guitar.
I know.
And therefore was written by, what, a 9-year-old?
Ultra journals. The bassist denied the grooming accusations that have surfaced, and the female involved also said that she was not underage and that the interaction was consensual, calling herself naive for sharing the clips with her friend, who then leaked the footage. She's going to get done under the revenge porn stuff as well if they start putting forward, because she's the one that distributed it to start with. Potentially, I would think. So anyway, this is fucking Max Normie's hot take on this, which is none of his business really. Which, I mean, it's a bit rich me saying that when you and I are speculating on it. I get that.
Sure.
I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, but people that are close to the situation should be keeping their mouth shut because it's pretty shitty. So my girlfriend sent me a link to the video and I had no idea and I didn't know what it was, but I can't unsee it now. That is the problem. I feel sorry for David Ellefson. He made a mistake. It was a silly thing to do. I feel sorry for him. I also kind of have mixed feelings about this. I understand Mustaine removing him from the band. The one thing that Dave Mustaine will not tolerate is being made fun of because of his upbringing, I guess, and because of the way he is. I think he, as in Mustaine, thought about this and thought about it. It's a brand he has to protect. I don't know this for a fact. I hate when Ultimate Guitar transcribe absolutely word for word because you lose so much of the context of what's being said. I don't know this for a fact. He was probably thinking, I can't go out on stage with this guy because everybody's going to be pointing at him, making hand gestures. So I really can't blame Mustaine, but I see both sides of the story. I certainly don't think that David Ellefson's a paedophile. He's probably guilty of what 90% of other musicians out there have done at one stage or another. It feels a little weird because he's a pastor and there's a religious thing there as well. I see both sides and I don't want to be judgmental about it. I feel sorry for David because it's going to affect his whole life and there's a whole lot of other stuff going on and it's going to affect that stuff too. The guy's going to go through a real hard time. The other thing I'd like to say is that if David sees this, maybe he will do this. I do think that Ellefson should apologise publicly to his wife and his family for the embarrassment and maybe to Megadeth too. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not going to judge it. It's very unfortunate and kind of sad. Who knows the whole story? No one knows. Exactly. Yeah. No one knows the whole story. Why would he apologise publicly or to the band that have just fired him for something that was nothing to do with his musical career? You fucking nugget.
He's got absolutely no reason to apologise publicly. He doesn't owe me an apology for anything, you know. And if you feel that David owes you an apology, maybe sit back, go look in the mirror and really think about your sense of where your importance is in the world. David Ellefson does not owe you an apology.
I say that Max Normie actually owes David Ellefson an apology because somebody who knows him personally has come out and talked a lot of shit about him.
Yeah.
Why you've decided to weigh in publicly is up to you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know Dave, so I'm kind of inconsequential in that regard. I'm an unbiased third person.
And saying that he owes a public apology to his wife and family, why would a public apology? Why does he need to make a? Do you think that he's probably not said sorry to his wife and family, you know, in private? And is that not relevant?
And again, how does he not know, or how do we know that him and his wife didn't have an arrangement? Yeah. Given that he's a pastor, that's probably not the case. But again,
do you think when the situation came out, he hasn't had a conversation with Dave Mustaine? Do you think that in that conversation, the word, Dave, I'm so sorry that this has happened. I'm so sorry that this has come out. Do you think that that has been said? This idea of a public apology is this strange sense of like this weird internet circus that we live in where we're all owed it. If you're wronged, you're owed an apology.
Here's my kind of hot take on it, right? If David Ellefson sexting with someone else consensually has somehow affected your personal life, you need to reassess your own fucking life.
Yeah.
To the point where you're asking for public apologies, then you really, really ought to have a look at yourself and go, why the things that have absolutely no consequence on me in any way, shape or form that can be quantified bother me?
Yeah.
Is it because something's happened where I'm in the wrong? No, it's David Ellefson who's at fault.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And it would be easy to look at this and say, well, why are we talking about it? And it's like, well, David Ellefson in this scenario, if we could remove him from this, then great. This isn't about, like, a lot of people want to talk about this because they want to take him to task for it.
For what?
Yeah.
Having a consensual relationship with somebody outside his marriage, which is a personal thing. Morals are totally personal to certain degrees. Everybody has their own limits. But again, we don't know what's been fucking agreed beforehand about the relationship's been like with his family.
The reason we're talking about this is not for David Ellefson. We don't expect him to listen to this or to change anything whatsoever. The reason we're only trying to instill change in our fucking listeners. And we want you, and I think that most people that listen to this podcast would already know this, but I guess the thing that we're saying is stand up for the things that you know to be true. You know that he hasn't really done anything wrong here. When you see people labelling him a beast publicly, don't be afraid to call them on it. When you see people saying, I'm not going to go and see Megadeth until I get a public apology, tell these people that they're fucking egomaniacs that aren't owed an apology, and they don't need an apology because they haven't been wronged in any way, shape or form. There is one and only one victim in this story, and it's fucking David Ellefson. And yet he's somehow the one that everyone's rallying around with pitchforks. No, I won't fucking stand for it. Let's all be better as a community. This isn't our fucking business. Stop fucking trying to publicly crucify whoever you possibly can because it's fun. and actually taking the human aspect, the guy's done nothing wrong. One last quote on it.
Probably the same people that got upset by the idea of cancel culture.
Yeah.
Clowns. So Dino Cazares weighed in, and I quite like Dino's take on it from what I've read. Essentially, he commented, it's not fair at all. Well, we don't really know what his relationship is with Dave Mustaine. I know there's been a lot of water under the bridge with those guys. I know they've had some turmoil issues that were going on. So who knows? Who really knows? I don't know. If it's just based on what happened, then I would say it's unfair. But I'm sure there's stuff behind the scenes that we don't know that's going on. As Dave stated in the press release, he said it was a strained relationship. So obviously some stuff was going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. I mean, we do know about the legal battles, etc. So maybe that's part of it. But in a whole new era now, everybody's ready to destroy you and destroy your career without even giving anybody a second chance or without even actually finding out the truth. So it's unfortunate that's where we're at these days.
Yeah.
Just at least somebody's got the intelligence to have a take on it that actually takes fucking David Ellefson into consideration as a human being.
Yeah.
Oh man, just
Last quote.
aye. So essentially, once the news was broke online, Dino tweeted or put through social media. Might not have been a tweet. Sorry. Basically, I don't know all the details, but I feel bad for Dave Ellefson.
And that's totally the right way to look at this. You know what? Even strip the second part, you don't need to even make a comment on whether you feel bad for David Ellefson or not.
I don't know the details.
But I don't know the details. It's like, and it seems really bizarre to me that like there's two articles. We looked at both of them of people, prominent people in the music industry talking about it. First of all, Dino's a pro in that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not. I don't know the guys. It's not my business. The only thing that I feel is missing from that Dino interview or quote is him saying to whoever asked him, "Why are you asking me?" You know what I mean? Like, why are you asking me? The problem here that I have is with fucking journalists. Why are you fucking asking him? I would love, and it would be near impossible because he's David fucking Ellefson. I would love to send Kiko an email and say, "Can you put me in touch with David? I'd love to do an interview with him on the channel."
I bet you could.
I'd love to talk to him.
I bet you could.
And if I did that, what happened wouldn't come up because it's not fucking relevant to anybody. And that would be talking to the actual man involved in it, right? So as someone that has experience working as a journalist, if I was interviewing any metalheads right now, I'd feel like an absolute scumbag if towards the end of the interview I was like, right, also, do you have anything to say about the David Ellefson situation?
It's gotcha journalism, which isn't journalism.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, have you ever seen an interview where somebody asked Mike Tyson, it's the first question about his rape allegation, and Mike just goes, "You're a piece of shit."
Yeah.
And you can see that he's obviously wanting to punch the guy's head off.
Yeah.
But he spends time just dissecting what he's got to say, just like, "You're a real piece of shit. Why would you bring that up?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with anything?"
Yeah.
Also, who the fuck is stupid enough to challenge Mike Tyson like that?
Well, if there's a camera involved, you feel relatively safe, you know?
He didn't feel safe. Have you seen the rest of that interview?
Yeah.
That is a man with some fucking solid balls, but some full pants.
I mean, my favourite interviews in that style, Mike Tyson is he's going to be Mike, but he still needs to maintain this air of professionalism. My favourite are the few examples that you have over the years of interviewers, like interviewing wrestlers, like Vader, where they say, you know, but everything you do is fake, and then these wrestlers lose their fucking shit at these people and like really make them feel incredibly uncomfortable. And
no wonder.
get physical with these people.
What happens in a wrestling match is scripted. These people still put themselves through serious trauma night after night after night.
Yeah. For our entertainment, no less.
Absolutely.
What champions?
I watched some, in fact, it was Marcus's video, the Mad Lads, about Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Some of the shit that happened behind the scenes with him, for example, being taken to Iraq at the request of Saddam Hussein, and then Saddam telling him to lose weight at gunpoint, or holding a gun. Jesus Christ, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the torture, the physical damage these people put themselves through. Have you seen The Wrestler, the Mickey Rourke film?
Yeah.
That's a great example of it. These are still human beings when the lights go out. These are people that have their own physical, mental, relationship, emotional problems. To claim that they're not doing something to their detriment, to other people's benefit, it's quite naive.
Yeah, and I'll always say the same thing. Like I'm not really on the wrestling scene right now while I'm wearing a Jimmy Havoc t-shirt. I don't watch any wrestling anymore. But still, I have nothing but the utmost respect for people. Anybody that puts their life, their body, and everything on the line to entertain you, and you want to write off what they do, like, but then also not write off, film stars. I mentioned I'm watching The Fighter at the moment, which is Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale, and Christian Bale is fantastic in it because Christian Bale's fantastic in almost everything he's in.
He is a ridiculous actor.
It's so easy to write him off because you think of the classic The Terminator Salvation clip of him where he loses his mind at
But
someone
I think
behind.
Christian Bale, I think he American Psycho and The Machinist.
The Machinist, yeah.
So he's like a different human in that.
Exactly.
And then you've got fucking Batman, The Dark
Yeah.
Knight, where he's like a fucking bear.
Yeah, yeah. He also did...
It's like saying Gary Oldman should be typecast.
Is it American Hustle he's in? Where he put on a lot of fucking weight for that. He's a big man in that. And I don't mean muscle. I mean he's a
weighty.
he's a chunky man
Think
in that.
so.
I'm sure it's American Hustle. But so in The Fighter, he's playing a method, right? Mm-hmm. And he fucking looks it. Like, you know, he's...
Same as he done with The Machinist.
Yeah.
He's not a method actor per se, but he takes his roles very seriously.
Very seriously. So he puts his body through the ringer for your entertainment. Mm-hmm. And at no point while watching The Fighter do I go, well, this is all fake. That man's a multi-millionaire. He's not a struggling boxer. No, you don't do that. You can suspend your disbelief because these people are trying to fucking entertain you. And maybe we should try and do the same with David Ellefson. He's a fucking entertainer. He's a musician. He's written some of the most and been involved in some of the most important thrash metal recordings of all time.
Yes.
I love everything that he's done very dearly. Cut the man some slack. Also, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string. I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a massive thank you to our friends and family over at Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. Please do go and check those guys out. We love them very dearly. Thank you for your kindness and support. You guys are awesome. You can also check us out on Buy Me a Coffee, as you can see on screen, where you can get one of our bonus episodes, actually 2 of our bonus episodes, hopefully now when you see this. Mm-hmm. Me learning some of Mike's stuff, Mike learning some of Pat Martino's stuff. I don't have anything to teach. I just did some really good transcriptions recently, and I would like to take the time to play the things a little bit more to...
I'm down with that, man. If you want to show me some jazz licks, that's something that's well outside my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
I'm game for that.
It'll be fun.
Also, anything you want to send us, GsolesFanMail, gmail.com. Get some stuff over.
We should have a PO box, really, shouldn't we? Because I love stuff.
Well, I mean, just give your fucking address out anyway.
That is true. And the amount of people that have said, I'd love to send you guys something, like, do you have like a PO box that I can send it to?
We could set it up, but I'm kind of not against
money,
it.
and you'd never get anything sent.
It's not that I'm against it. I think my concern is that it's maybe a bit preemptive to set something like that up, as if the expectation is that people will send us stuff. In my mind, at least.
Yeah.
But I'm also still in a bit of disbelief that we've got 2 pretty fucking cool sponsors that actually want to work with us. So,
but,
who knows?
Same thing. If anybody ever wants to send something in to us to feature, not like a sponsorship type thing, but something like when we got that whiskey sent, and we would drank that on a live show, like anything that you think would add to the show, get in touch. I'm happy to give my address so you can send things to us.
Any kind of experience you want Levi and I to go through on camera.
Unless it's a letter from a lawyer. I don't want any more of those. No, thank you. Oh.
You're boring.
I know, I had enough of those in my life. Anything you want to add?
Just when you're talking about lawyers' letters, the party cannon stuff's coming along quite nicely, and there's one of the things that I think we might end up getting a cease and desist for, and I'm going to frame it if it lands.
I'm trying to think what it would be. Oh, is it the thing Bailey's doing?
Yes.
I doubt it. No,
I doubt it as well. I think
it's parody enough.
Yes, but the fact that there is name and likeness. But I would like to think the person that we're potentially going to be talking about, I'm not talking about it just now because it's still under wraps, but we are going to reach out to that person and see if they are down to be part of it.
Oh, yes, of course.
But
no, so he won't, and the reason he won't is because name and likeness laws are a US-based thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely a US-based thing. There's no name and likeness protections in the UK.
I don't think there would be anything other than personal beef,
Yeah.
but I'd like to think there's not. I'd like to think that the person may understand that it's a very good marketing opportunity for both parties.
Yeah, I think he'll enjoy it.
I hope so.
I don't think you'll necessarily.
And if he doesn't,
well, you're not capitalising on his.
no, not at all. It cost us money
on his brand.
We've paid money. We're not made any on it.
And he's painted in a really good light in it. You know, it's
pretty funny.
Yeah, so
it's pretty funny.
Lots of teasers there, but you guys will you'll see that as the coming months happen. And more news on our exclusive T-shirt and all of that stuff in the coming episodes as well.
There's plenty of time for that. We need to stop shilling for money, don't we?
I know. Well, no, because money makes the world go round.
Levi Simmons out here.
Yeah. It's the same thing I always say. Like it's 3:00 in the afternoon. I've got to do another episode, a quick bonus episode with you. Then I've got fucking to edit all of those. I've got to upload them all. It's taken an entire day out of my life to get these motherfuckers done.
And it's just as well the Monday night Guitar Geek Club
so
is
much fun.
Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Makes it worth it.
It does. And you know what? I actually really enjoy the fact that even though sometimes it's like, right, fucking it, pick a couple hours out the way so we can get this done. You and I still get to hang out and talk shit.
Yeah.
I mean, just before this podcast, Levi and I were talking about how he actually has every plectrum that's ever went missing in the universe in this box. I've never seen quite as many plectrums in my fucking life. And he gave me a few, which was nice of him. Anyone that's lost a plectrum, Levi's probably got it. Just send me a message. We'll set you up a PO box and if they can come and get their plectrums back.
Yeah, maybe I should get into that. That is it, the little black hole box.
Swear to God, man, you're going to get done by fucking Greenpeace for the most amount of
plastic.
Aye, that's it, man. You've got absolutely nothing biodegradable in that box.
Yeah, if I went and emptied that box into the sea, it would cause the extinction of at least one species of animal. Mike, until next time.
Bye, fuckers.